Well, hello.
Good
What's up?
evening.
I know we're recording a little late today.
Not super
Not
late.
super. Not super.
Just a little late because I had to take my afternoon nap.
That, and we did a little video. So the story is Josh got me for Valentine's Day a Boksu box, which is all like Japanese snacks. And it was really good.
Delicious.
And he forgot to cancel the subscription because those boxes were like $60.
Oh, wow.
I know. That's like the
Wow.
most expensive like snack subscription box was Boksu. So yeah. So he was supposed to cancel it, but he didn't cancel it in time. So we got another one. So we just did a little tasty test thing.
It was fantastic. And I can tell you I'm not much for trying new things,
Yeah.
but
But it was good.
delicious.
It was really good. So maybe once, if ever we get a social media thing together for all 4 of our people that'll listen to this podcast.
Yes.
I was talking to somebody today about it because I'm like, if I share this, like, am I doing it like with like the expectation that people are going to give me feedback on it? I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, but like I was saying today, I'm like, well, it's not like I'm doing it for anything like I really don't think we're going to make any money off it.
No.
It's just for
fun.
funsies.
It's just for fun to hang out.
Yeah.
And talk about shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, okay. So what I was going to talk to you about earlier was I've been watching these shows. What was it? Like Euphoria. Did you ever watch that on HBO?
No, I didn't.
Euphoria. And then there's one, another one that just started on HBO called Generation.
Oh.
And then there's that one on Netflix called Sex Ed. And they're all like depictions of high school life or whatever. And I'm sitting there watching these shows and I'm like, man, is this high school? Like, is this what really goes on in like high schools today? I feel like the oldest person saying that.
So my niece, her friend, is going through some major drama with a boy at school who like broke up with her, who like put it on social media that he was going to her house and he's like, I'm about to break someone's heart today. Made a whole big thing. He's got these girlfriends at school who have been bullying this girl, our friend, like tripped her in the bathroom, like pulling her hair type. I'm like weird stuff. I'm like, y'all need to get a life. But then now he was saying, I didn't really want to break up with you. And I hooked up with this girl even trying to get over you. And I couldn't get hard. And like he's telling her this.
How old are these people?
That's what I'm saying. Way too young to be even thinking, talking like this. And I'm like, what in the world?
That's crazy.
And I'm like,
me.
this was like, we weren't talking like that. We were, but not like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like I knew stuff. It wasn't like I didn't know anything, but I wasn't like going around being like, "Hey, is your dick hard?" Like, but yeah,
Yeah, like these shows, everything is about like sex, drugs,
yeah,
gender identity,
yeah.
all of that stuff. And I'm like, man, it's like, I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and he was like, well, yeah, that was what high school was. So I maybe I was just super sheltered. I did not like that. The stuff that they're doing like in high school now, or what these shows depict, is maybe stuff that I was doing in my 20s.
Okay, same. But also, if that stuff was going on, everyone was hiding it a lot better.
It wasn't just out there.
It wasn't just out there, and everyone's so loud and proud about it. And I'm like, girl, if you're gonna be out there just hooking up with dudes in the back of the car, or guys hooking up with girls, why are you telling everyone about it? Like,
why are you filming it?
Why are you filming it? Why are you talking about it? Why are you telling all your friends? Like, you don't look cool, because if everyone else is doing it, you're not cool. Like,
So then I was thinking like, okay, so when we were watching like 90210 and My So-Called Life, were parents then saying, is this how kids are nowadays?
and you're like, kind of. Yeah.
But those shows, like, I mean, they dealt with like issues, but it wasn't like as
Yeah.
severe. I don't know. It's
Yeah, like, because I was telling my niece yesterday, I was like, I definitely had friends that were going through, like, they were questioning their sexuality and things like that. Like, that definitely happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I don't think I had anybody that I knew that was like that.
I did. I
did?
had a good friend that, like,
Not in high school anyway.
oh, yeah, my one good friend. And then he came out later, and I was like, the crazy story. I grew up with him. We've known each other since I was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, ever knew. He was just my really good friend that would play Barbies with me.
Aww.
I know. And so when he told me when he was graduating, he was like, I'm just letting you know that I'm gay. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, good for you. Like, I didn't know. And he was like, how did you not know? And his sister was like, yeah, how did you not know? And then I told my mom, and my mom goes, how did you not know? And I was like, I just didn't.
Aww.
I didn't, because I just saw him as like my best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember there being anybody. But again, clearly I was a sheltered child, so
Yeah.
I hung out
That's
with
all right.
a lot of church crowd.
Okay. I mean,
So we
that's
really
not a
didn't get
big
into all
deal.
that.
Yeah.
My biggest thing was, am I ever going to have my first kiss? in high
Really?
school? Well, because I didn't have my first kiss till I was 19. I went all through high school without kissing anybody.
I had my first kiss when I was like 13.
Really? Like with
Yeah.
tongue?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was with this gross boy who like ended up getting expelled when he went to high school because he was selling drugs. And my mom even told me, she was like, he is a bad apple. And I was like, I like it, Mom. And, okay, funny. Okay, this brought up so many memories just now. Okay, we made out. We walked from the middle school to the library, made out in the woods by the intermediate school.
Uh-huh.
So gross. And he had actually like made out with my friend the week before that. So he's like he was just so trashy.
Wow.
But he used to call me on the phone and he'd be like, I'm masturbating. And I'd be like, cool.
Shut up.
Yeah. And he would be like, I'm using Jergens. I was like, of course you are. Of course. And I'm just like, nice. And like, I'm 13.
Oh
So
my God.
I guess, it's not so weird that this is all happening to my nieces. And I don't know. Weird.
No, boys used to call me and like play songs over the phone.
Oh boy. I
Yeah.
hung out with some weird kids, I guess.
Well, you're also much younger than me. I came from a more innocent time. I don't know.
Maybe I should have been going to church more.
I don't know. Like
I
it was
hyper focused on boys.
Yeah. Well, I was too. Like if you read like one of these days, I'm going to bust out my journals and we'll read them on here. And everything is about
Oh my gosh.
all of them. It's all about boys.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
I'll read you some of them. They're so dumb. They're so dumb.
I can't believe you journaled. I might have
I
a
did.
journal where I did one day and I was like, this is boring. I'm not doing this again.
I did. I'm not very consistent with it. I still do
Yeah.
sometimes, but I'm not very consistent with it.
Yeah, I was really bad.
So it like skips a lot of years. But there are some key times in there. Like
I wish
like
I
when I was
would
16 and stuff like that. So there are key times in there. And then like once my mom died, I started just like writing letters to my mom
Oh, that's nice.
or like
Okay.
writing prayers or something like that.
That's
like
cute.
that kind of stuff. Because I didn't have her to talk to. So
That's cute.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I know. So yeah, so that was my, I don't know, kids these days. I don't know.
Kids these days. But then again, kids my days. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I was
apparently
one of
kids my
those
days. Because I watched on Hulu, they had that, Soleil Moonfry did that Kid 90.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I didn't.
It was good.
I didn't watch it because,
Well, okay, so there was
my
that.
favorite.
She's not my favorite either, but it was really good. It was good. And she talked about, there was a movie back in the 90s called Kids. Which I guess would be my generation, but I wasn't doing any of that stuff either. Like it was all like, but it was like New York kids, and so they were like going to parties, doing drugs, and
Yeah, I never
like
did any of that.
date rape stuff. So it was
How are
like,
kids getting this?
and it was AIDS. It was like right in the middle of AIDS, and
Oh,
so
boy.
someone got AIDS, and
Oh,
that was a
boy.
good. I remember watching that movie. That was a good movie.
That sounds like a good movie. I'd watch that.
It was good. You should watch it. That should be your homework.
I have so many homeworks.
I know, and you haven't done any of them.
I didn't in school.
What else is your homework? Oh, My So-Called Life was your homework. St. Elmo's Fire.
I can't just watch things because it requires going downstairs and my mom will be like, don't you want to watch Bones with me? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, Mom, let's watch Bones.
Did you hear? I heard on some podcast, I can't remember, but David Boreanaz from Bones, like put a picture on Twitter of his ding dong.
Hello. Okay.
And apparently it was pretty something to look at.
Did he do it on purpose?
He did. He put it up and
What?
like didn't take it down. From what I understand, I don't know.
Shut up. But I Google that.
Yeah, Google that and see.
What's his name?
David Boreanaz.
Oh my God.
Here's what I learned when I edited last week's podcast. I don't enunciate words because I'm trying to edit. I trail off the ends of my words and I kind of mumble under my breath a lot.
I think that's a Michigan thing because I do that.
But I'm not from Michigan.
I mumble a lot. My mom tells me that. She's always like, what? I can't hear you. And I'm like, oh my God,
I know,
Mom.
Josh says that too, but really Josh is deaf, I think.
That's what I tell my mom. I'm like, you can't hear is what it is. She goes, I know, you mumble everything.
Yeah, I do. I'm giving you the mumbles. That's what my sister says. You give me the mumbles.
I'm bad about the mumbles.
Me too. Did you find him?
I found him. I had Googled David Boreanaz wiener. And then it was like, did you mean David Boreanaz Twitter? And I was like, yeah, I meant that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, images. I'm not seeing
I don't
it.
know if he took it down.
He probably did.
I can't remember what podcast it was on that they were talking about it. I only listened to like a few, which is, I think it might have been Bitch Sesh. I don't know.
I think it got taken down because I am not seeing it.
Yeah, but anyway.
Boo.
Apparently it was quite impressive.
See, that's why they posted. They know what they got.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows. So, what do you have for us this week?
Okay. I've been, let me just tell you, talk about rabbit holes, this whole 2 weeks that I've had doing this research for this topic because there's so much on it.
You're going to go to town.
Dude. And this is like only the first part of it. I have 6 pages of notes typed, and it's only like the first part of it. So my person, place, or thing of a generation this week is, of course, O.J. Simpson.
One of my favorite stories of all time.
Okay, when were you born?
90.
Oh, so you were like 4 when this went down.
Yeah, so I don't remember.
So do you know anything about it, really?
The only thing I know about it is that I would hear my parents say, he's so guilty. He was guilty.
Yeah.
That's all I would know until I actually heard the case. I don't remember what podcast I heard it on, but they went in depth, like so good. And I was like, oh my God.
Did you listen to Confronting OJ?
No.
You have to listen to that because I talk about that in here too. Okay. So O.J. Simpson, let's just go through the people. What I remember him being in were like the Naked Gun movies.
Oh, I definitely remember those movies.
Yeah. And he was he was the spokesman for Hertz. So he would do Hertz commercials, Hertz Rent-A-Car. And like the big commercial was him running through the airport.
What?
Like he was late for, I gotta get in. Like all these people like cheering him on and all of it.
Do you think he asked Nicole if she wanted a Hertz donut?
What? What?
A Hertz donut.
What is that?
Oh, come here. Come here.
No, you have to tell me.
It hurts, don't it?
Oh my God. Why did you punch me?
I didn't mean to punch you that hard.
Oh my God.
No, I just had to do it like a little bit hard, but not so hard. I think I just got you in a weird spot on your arm.
You
but
did.
I'm sorry.
I'm a delicate flower, Angeline.
I'm sorry. If you have a bruise, I apologize.
Donut.
Isn't that stupid?
Yes.
Do you think he asked Nicole that?
Well, apparently he did. We'll get to that. Insensitive.
Sorry.
By the way, I have to say that all of the stuff that I got off the internet. I got off of Wikipedia.
Wiki.
I read several books. I have books in front of me, and so I'll talk about who I got, like cite my references because we're not good at doing that. We should.
My research consists of none of this.
You went on the internet.
I went on Google. Yep.
Yeah. So
books and documentaries are not my thing.
Oh well. Oh yeah, there's multiple TV shows I watched too.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, busy 2 weeks. Total rabbit hole. Okay, so Nicole met OJ in 1977 when she was 18 working as a waitress in a Beverly Hills private club called the Daisy. Ron Goldman, born July 2nd, 1968, he would be 52 today, which is the same age that, this year.
I thought like it was his birthday.
On July 2nd.
Oh.
He'd be 52 this year, so he'd be turning 53, I think.
Aw.
I know, so weird. Wikipedia says that he and Nicole were friends, But in the podcast Confronting OJ, Kim Goldman sat down with his friends and they said that they didn't really have a relationship at all. Like, they just kind of knew each other from, like, seeing people around Brentwood. Now, in Faye Resnick's book, she says that, like, Nicole would see him, like, at Starbucks and stuff like that and say, oh, yeah, I'm totally going to do that guy. And yeah,
okay.
That's what her book said.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the timeline of what happened that night. Okay, so June 12th, 1994, 10:15 p.m. A neighbor, Pablo, and his wife, Jai, hear the sound of a dog barking. He walked downstairs to fiddle with something. Shortly before 11, went back upstairs, and his wife was watching TV. The credits on the program they were watching were rolling, and the dog barking still had not stopped. He later testified that he remembered the sound because it was not the regular chatter of a neighborhood dog. The sound was more like a wail, a very unhappy animal. Pablo was not the only neighbor to later testify to hearing the dog at this time. Another neighbor always walked his dog on the weekend between 10:30 and 11. He always walked a regular route, and when he passed by Nicole's alleyway that night at about 10:55, her white Akita, which he didn't know was hers, but the white Akita was just standing there barking at the house. He approached the dog, searched the collar, but no address was listed. He also noticed that the dog had blood on all 4 of its paws.
Oh my God.
He didn't know where the dog belonged, so he turned and started home, and the dog followed him. He and his wife were going to keep the dog overnight and possibly hang posters the next day, I'm assuming, or ask around. When they brought the dog inside, it grew more and more agitated. They decided to take the dog for a walk, and the dog led them back to the same house.
Oh my God.
The neighbor said the area was so dark that he normally would never have looked down the pathway behind the gate, but the dog was calling his attention to it. When he shed his light down the path, he saw the body laying in a pool of blood. Her body. Which, by the way, you can see. I looked up. I just wanted to see if I could get like a lay of the land.
Yeah.
And I looked up crime scene photos and found like full on, which I then immediately texted you. I'm like, oh my God, you can see full on crime scene photos online.
Which I then went and looked right at, and they were horrifying.
I should have warned you.
No, I
did say like not blocked.
I
like,
knew exactly
totally
what I was
see.
looking at. Because I first looked at blurred ones, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm looking at the real ones.
Yeah.
And then I did, and I was like,
horrified.
Oh.
You can't unsee that.
No.
It was bad.
No.
Okay, so that was the night of June 12th.
That
so
poor dog.
I know. Can you imagine?
And what a good puppers. That was like, no, come back here. You have to see this.
Yeah. So now we're up to June 13th, 1994, 12:09 a.m. Police are summoned to the scene after Robert Risky of LAPD responds to what an elderly woman's call because she had people banging on her door, which ended up to be that couple, like trying to get somebody to call the police. She thought it might be someone trying to break and enter. Turns out the neighbor that found the body was banging on the door to get her to call. Officers see Nicole's body lying in a pool of blood at the base of 4 stairs that led up to the landing to the front door. When he pointed his flashlight to the right, he saw another body, who we now know as Ron Goldman.
Shut up.
He was slumped against a metal fence that separated her property from the property next door. Near his feet, the officer identifies 3 items: a black hat, a white envelope stained with blood, and a single leather glove. He also made out a fresh heel print in the blood next to Nicole's body, but with all the blood everywhere, there were no other shoe prints leading away. So as not to disturb the crime scene, he tiptoed through the bushes to the left of the pathway, past Nicole, up to the landing. From there, he shined his flashlight along the corridor that spanned the entire northern length of the property and saw a set of bloody footprints. So the killer went out the back way. He also noticed drops of blood to the left of the footprints. Then he walks into the house. He has a bunch of candles lit, a bathtub full of water, and finds 2 children sleeping in their beds. So her kids were in the house when all of this happened.
That's messed up.
I mean, I guess if your kids, because of the amount of times that she had called the police on him for domestic violence, which we later find out is like 8 different times.
Yeah.
You hear your parents fighting like that all of the time. So I guess you kind of learn, you're conditioned to just ignore it.
Yes.
Or whatever. Because if Nicole was screaming or doing something, but I don't know. Maybe
those screams have to be different, I would say.
Yeah, I would think so too. Okay,
but when I was a kid, I could sleep through literally anything. So maybe they didn't hear anything.
Yeah. So he went inside, checked everything, telephoned his supervisor. He was very careful not to use the radio, because if he used his radio, his police radio, news outlets, people like that,
right.
scan it. So he used the house phone to make the call into
Smart.
the police station. Yeah. So he telephoned his supervisor, David Rossi, the sergeant in charge of the West LA station at the time, to report the murders. Rossi then made a dozen or so calls up the chain of command around LAPD. So the officer had also looked around the house, saw pictures of OJ, saw pictures of Nicole, realized it was like a celebrity thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So a squad car arrived to get the children out of the house to take them to the station. 2 other officers began going up and down the alley, looking through trash cans, knocking on doors, looking for witnesses. 1:30 a.m., Sergeant Rossi arrives to the scene, and then his boss, Captain Constance Dial, Officer Risky, gives them a quick tour of the crime scene. 2:10 a.m., the on-call detective for that night was Mark Furman. He arrives to the scene with his supervisor, Ron Phillips. At this point, Furman was the 17th officer to arrive on the scene of this crime. Risky took them on a tour of the crime scene. Once it was over, they split up. Furman walked the scene again to take some notes. He made mentions of blood on the gate, a possible smudge with fingerprints, and also noted the ski mask and one glove by the feet of the male victim. Furman's partner arrived, and Furman took him on a tour of the crime scene. 2:40 a.m., Furman and his partner are told that the West LA team was off the case and it was now being turned over to the robbery homicide division, the headquarters unit that handles especially complex, high-profile cases. So Mark Furman was really only lead detective on this case for a total of 30 minutes. And he is basically the reason why I think OJ is a free man today.
Oh.
But yeah. So he walked the crime scene with a photographer, pointing out the different things so the photographer could take pictures. They stood and waited for the robbery homicide detectives to arrive. So they were just kind of like standing around because waiting to be replaced. So finally at 4:05 a.m., Detective Philip Van Hatter arrived. 4:30, his partner Tom Lange arrived, and they were given a tour of the crime scene. Once that was completed, it was discussed about notifying OJ of the murders because previously they were told that they want him notified in person. So, per the higher ups, because he is the ex-spouse, he would need to be interviewed anyway.
Right.
So they decide they're going to go over to his house. Furman said that he knew where OJ lived as he was called out on a domestic violence thing to there previously.
Oh, okay.
So he had been there before, so he knew where it was.
Yeah.
So he showed the other cops where he lived. Okay, so he led them to OJ's home on Rockingham. They rang the buzzer at 5 a.m., no answer. 5:30, Phillips began calling Simpson's cell phone, but got a voicemail.
Because he's got clothes to clean, and he's showering, and he's trying to act like he didn't just do stuff.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Furman says, I took out, this is also in that, The Run of His Life book. Okay, so Furman hung back while the other 3 detectives tried to raise someone in the house. Though he had been a police officer for 19 years, he was a level 2 detective, while others were at level 3. In the hierarchy world of the LAPD, it was therefore his place to defer. So with nothing to do, Furman wandered around the corner, back to Rockingham, and over to the Bronco that was parked out front. He shined his small pocket flashlight into the back and saw papers addressed to O.J. Simpson. He then studied the driver's door and noticed a small red stain just above the handle. Near the bottom of the door, on the exposed position of the door, still he saw several more thin red stripes. Stop it. So then he goes and tells them, hey, I think I see something on the Bronco. Da-da-da-da-da-da. They then go to the guest house and they arouse, so Furman, they had blood on the car. They decide to get a criminalist out to the scene to test if it was actually human blood. So their concern now is somebody inside the house hurt? We don't know.
Okay.
They could have been the second victim. Who knows? So they get Furman to jump the fence because he's the youngest and fittest of the 3. Jump the wall, open the gate, and the detectives enter the property on probable cause because if somebody's hurt. Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense.
They knock on the door, no answer, so they decide to take a look around. In the back of the property, there are 3 guest houses. One OJ's daughter, Arnell, lives in. One a maid lives in, and then the other one, Cato Kalin, lived in. They go around back. They knock on the guest house door belonging to Cato Kalin. He doesn't know where Simpson is, suggests asking the daughter. When asked if he'd heard anything unusual, he stated that about 10:45, while he was on the telephone, He said there were some loud thumps on his bedroom wall near the air conditioner, and it jolted it. Like he thought he was thinking maybe there was an earthquake because the wall jolted and like the pictures were moving and stuff like that. So now,
So many notes.
I know this, but it's so good. Okay, so this is Furman. Furman says, Cato was getting, I guess, dressed or whatever. They're walking. He says, I took out my flashlight and I started walking down the path trying to figure out the residence architecture to figure out where Kaylin's wall might have been. Furman testified later, I saw a long, dark path covered with leaves. When Furman had walked about 20 feet along the path, he saw a dark object on the ground. But it wasn't until he was practically upon it that he realized what it was. At some point, Furman remembered, I could tell that it was a glove.
OMG.
It looked out of place. There were no leaves or twigs on it, and the glove looked moist or sticky with some parts adhering to one another. Furman stepped around the glove and kept walking along the path, but he started hitting cobwebs, which he had not previously encountered. He followed the path all the way to the end, which was an untended patch of dirt. Then he headed back out, passing the glove once more. He didn't touch it, but he noticed something about it. It looked similar to the glove at the Bundy scene.
So, wait. Why? Well, because he wasn't really supposed to be there, so could he not take it?
You can't touch anything.
That's what I thought. I'm like, why could you?
No.
You only could have just taken that glove, damn it.
No, you can't touch anything. They have to collect it properly.
At OJ's house? That's
Yeah.
not a crime scene.
It is now.
Oh my God.
You don't want to disturb anything at anywhere until you're sure that place is clear.
Well, he should have took pictures.
But they have blood on the Bronco. Well, you do. So you leave it there and you wait for the criminalist to come on the scene to take the samples of the blood, to take pictures, to take everything so they can see where things were found and things were laid out. Everything has to be documented. You don't want to move anything.
Okay.
This is where the problem is.
Okay. Get to it. Okay. I'm sorry. I won't interrupt.
Okay, so at 6:05 a.m., Phillips calls the hotel that OJ is staying in. So what they're saying is that that OJ's in Chicago. So he had a limo driver that showed up around a certain time. He was supposed to leave at a certain time for his flight for Chicago. The limo driver got there, was buzzing him, and nothing happened. So the limo driver called his supervisor and was like, what do I do? And he's like, just wait there. We'll try to see what's going on. We'll whatever, but just wait. Don't leave.
Yeah.
So then he says that he saw somebody, like a black man, I guess, inside the gate, walk up to the door, like from somewhere, go up to the door and then go up, Went to ring the buzzer again. Then OJ answered and said, oh, sorry, man, I overslept. I'm just getting out of the shower. I'll be right down.
Oh, you didn't look like you just got out of the shower.
So then he comes down and then they leave for the airport. And then the limo driver also said, when we left, I took the turn onto Rockingham and I saw the white Bronco that was sitting there that wasn't there before.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So OJ's now in Chicago. So he jumped a red eye to Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, Furman then separates from the group, decides to follow up on what Cato told him, which is what we just did. Okay. 6:05, Philip calls the hotel and asks to be put through to OJ's room. So they got his secretary on the phone, and the secretary said, oh, yeah, he's in Chicago. This is what...
When did he get those tickets? Did he have them already?
He already had the tickets, but I think he was supposed to be on an earlier flight, but he didn't make it.
That's suspicious.
Okay, so listen to this. Okay, so this is the notification. Phillips called the hotel at 6:05 a.m., asked to be put through to O.J. Simpson's room. Though he recognized the voice, the detective still asked, is this O.J. Simpson? Yes, who is this? Phillips chose his word carefully when he delivered the news of Nicole's death to O.J. This is Detective Phillips from the Los Angeles Police Department. I have some bad news for you. Your ex-wife, Nicole Simpson, has been killed. Simpson was distraught. Oh my God. Nicole killed. Oh my God. She's dead. Phillips tried to calm him. Mr. Simpson, please try to get a hold of yourself. I have your children at the West Los Angeles Police Station. I need to talk to you about that. What do you mean you have my children at the police station? Why are my kids at the police station? Because we had no place else to take them, Phillips answered. They were there for safekeeping. I need to know what to do with the children. Well, I'm going to be leaving out of Chicago on the first available flight, Simpson said. I will come back to Los Angeles. Phillips then handed the phone to Arnell, who agreed with her father that she would ask his friend Al Cowlings to pick up the children. Phillips never spoke to Simpson again. Later, the detective found it worth noting that Simpson did not say in their brief conversation, Simpson never asked how or when Nicole had been killed. Phillips had not said, and Simpson did not ask whether she had been killed in an accident or a murder. So he was just basically like, oh, she's dead? Oh, okay.
Oh my God, so suspicious. So suspicious.
I mean, you don't know how you're going to react. And I guess maybe because he brought up the kids right away, maybe he got sidetracked about the kids. I don't know. But I know it would have been my first instinct to say what happened. I'd want to know, but. Okay, so meanwhile, it's determined the criminalist comes out. It's determined that there's blood on the Bronco. It was human blood. It was determined through interviews that Simpson had left on an unexpected flight to Chicago during the early morning hours of June 13th and was last seen at Rockingham at about 11 on the 12th. A warrant was served to search the premises at Rockingham at about the same time OJ returned home from Chicago at about noon on the 13th. So what I also didn't include in here was in the driveway in Rockingham, there were drops of blood. And then once they got the warrant, the search warrant, they found like a sock in OJ's room with blood in his bedroom. So you have the glove by the air conditioner outside of Cato Kalin's room. You have blood on the Bronco. You have blood in the driveway. You have blood on the sock inside his bedroom.
Yes. All this blood.
All of this stuff.
It should add up to something.
Okay. So this now on the 13th, 1:35 p.m., OJ is interviewed by officers. He goes in voluntarily. He has a lawyer, but the lawyer just says, do what you want. And this is before he gets Bob Shapiro as his main counsel. The lawyer's like, do what you want, whatever. So he goes in for this interview. It was vague, all over the place, never a direct answer to questions, nothing to pin down a timeline or anything like that. He was interviewed for a total of 32 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Without a lawyer because he waived his right. But yeah, so like the question's like, well, you know, I mean, you can read them in the book, but they're trying to ask him questions. He's like, oh, it could have been this time. It could have been this time. I went out for burgers with Cato at, 9 or maybe like 10. I don't know. Like everything is like so all over the place. And they never like try to get him to commit to an actual timeline of things, which you need.
Right.
Because that's
like,
how
you need to figure this out, buddy. Because
yeah,
we got some time where you are not accounted for.
Yeah.
We need to know. So
you have the gloves. You have various samples from the trail of blood that appeared to go away from Bundy to Rockingham. The blood sample from OJ that he consented to after the interview. The criminalist spent 2 days, June 14th and 15th, DNA testing the samples. And at this time, DNA testing was fairly new.
Okay.
But still DNA testing.
Right.
He was also given samples from Nicole and Ron. So the blood drops on the pathway at Bundy matched Simpson's blood type. The blood on the glove found behind Cato's room at Rockingham was consistent with a mix of Simpson's and the two victims.
Shut up.
Yeah. Oh, prosecutors learned the results late on Wednesday, June 15th. So all of this, plus now the known history of domestic violence, made them secure enough to move forward with the arrest. The news was delivered to Simpson's lawyer, now Robert Shapiro. They agreed they were going to call him at 8:30 on Friday, June 17th to inform him of the formal charges and demand that Simpson surrender at 11 a.m. that day, which was also the day of Nicole's funeral, by the way. Oh, wow. At 11:30, Simpson would be transported to the criminal courts building for his arraignment, and at 11:45, the prosecutors will hold a press conference. But things, of course, did not go to plan. What came next was, of course, the infamous Bronco.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about this.
So, 2 p.m., LAPD put out an all points bulletin for AC Cowlings because, so they called Shapiro, said, these are the charges. It's going to be murder in the first degree for both victims.
Yeah.
We want him to surrender at this time. And he's like, well, I'm going to try my best to get him there. So he's saying that it was more of like a suggested time.
Okay.
Which, whatever. But the problem is OJ was at Robert Kardashian's house. He wasn't at his house in Rockingham. He was at Robert Kardashian's house, like in the valley.
Okay.
So it was going to take longer to get there anyway. So he drove over there to try and find OJ. OJ was with Paula Barbieri there at Kardashian's house. He had written like a suicide note, all this stuff. They're coming to inform him that he's going to be arrested. Well, he leaves. So he leaves with AC Cowlings in the white Bronco.
Okay.
So at 2 p.m., he obviously didn't show up for the surrender. Police and prosecutors are like, what the heck's going on? And they're like, well, he's not here. We don't know where he is, basically. But we found the suicide note, so we don't know what's up. So 2 p.m., LAPD puts out an all-points bulletin for AC Cowlings. Around 6 p.m., the Los Angeles media confirmed the description of a car that the LAPD was seeking. Apparently, OJ left a suicide note, was planning on killing himself. His friend AC Cowlings drove a white Bronco with OJ in the backseat with a gun. It was a low-speed chase down the interstate in LA. I mean, like, the world stopped when this happened.
Yeah.
It interrupted programming. I think they said it was the NBA Finals was going on. It disrupted programming. I worked at TGI Fridays at the time. I remember watching it.
Oh, my God.
I was a hostess at TGI Fridays. And, yeah, they had it on the screen. So, like, they had the game on, or they would have, like, the Bronco chase or, like, the game, and then, like, the little corner
Oh, my God.
would have, like, it was always, like, a split screen thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So the police got a hold of AC on a cell phone at about 7:15 p.m. They were trying to get OJ to throw the gun out the window. He wouldn't. He just wanted to go home. He wanted to, like, see his mother and his family before he was taken in or whatever. So he finally made it in there under, like, there were, like, SWAT teams and everything set up.
Oh, my
It was,
God.
like, crazy. But even, like, when he was going down the side of the freeway, people were, like, had posters, like, run, OJ, run, and all this other, like, it was crazy. People were, like, shouting on the sides of the streets and, like, cheering him on and this and that. It was cuckoo.
Oh, boy.
But again, this is, like, the time, like, 1994, the LA riots that we were talking about happened in 92. So there's a lot of still racial tension and everything else going on in LA at this time.
Oh, yeah.
So, also on this day of June 17th, prosecution started presenting their case to a grand jury. So before he was even tracked down and arrested, they were already going to a grand jury trying to get him indicted. Grand jury was dismissed because of the overwhelming media coverage. So the other huge mistake in this case was I don't think there was ever a gag order put on the attorneys because everything was in the media. Everybody was giving interviews. Everybody was just putting things out in the media. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. They needed to do that.
I don't know. Okay, so finally OJ was arrested, taken into custody. He quietly pled guilty at his arraignment on Monday, June 20th. Preliminary hearing was set for June 30th. So the preliminary hearing, because they couldn't do the grand jury.
Yeah.
They did a preliminary hearing, which was also basically a shit show. I mean, everything was brought out into the media. The judge ruled on July 7th that there was enough evidence for OJ to stand trial. So it has a second arraignment on July 22nd. So the first arraignment, he went in like right after he was arrested on the 20th, and he was like all like, didn't have like disheveled and like super quiet and like not guilty, you know, like sad and suicidal, I guess. I don't know. Then on July 22nd, he comes in and he's in like a suit and tie and belt and like dressed to the nines. And then he's asked how he pled, and he basically finds his voice and says 100% not guilty.
Okay, buddy.
So his trial began because he has the right to a speedy trial, which is another issue in this. A lot of times they'll waive it in order for both sides to really build up their case and like work their case out and gather. But no, they didn't waive that. So he had a right to speedy trial. So trial began January 24th. So the trial, prosecution's case leaned heavily on the domestic violence aspect of OJ and Nicole's relationship, as well as all of the physical blood evidence and DNA. The defense leaned heavily on the idea that all of the evidence that was collected was either contaminated or corrupted.
Oh, how?
Because the crime scene wasn't very secure.
Okay.
So when the DNA guy got up there, they kind of ripped him apart saying, well, what was the chain of command? How was this evidence collected? Things were not taken, I mean, like directly from the crime scene to the lab. Things were like, oh, it was in my car overnight, you know, like that kind of stupid shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And so it totally opened the door for them to say, well, how do you know if it wasn't ever out of your custody that it wasn't contaminated?
Oh, those people. I'm very upset with them right now.
Yeah. Then Mark Furman is painted as a racist asshole,
Oh, okay.
which he is.
Oh, okay.
So they basically got him on the stand and they were asking him. They knew ahead of time. They had evidence that he was under investigation for racial stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because at this time the police were it was a big, like you said, those riots happened, cops against Black people and Asians, and I mean it was all over the place.
Yeah.
So yeah, the LAPD was not a very well liked thing. So he gave an interview to some girl that was writing a book, and he was like using the N-word, like all of this other stuff. And so he was asked on the stand if he's ever been accused of racist. He'd been under investigation, I guess, all this other stuff. And he was like, oh, no, nothing. And then they tried out these tapes and was like, this is you. This is you saying this.
Oh,
and yeah, so he got taken down big time.
Okay.
So there goes all of that evidence that he found.
Dang.
Then comes into play as, well, he planted it. He planted it to frame a Black person for the murder, which is kind of like he didn't know.
Right.
He didn't know that OJ was going to be like the number one suspect. He wasn't looking at that. He was just going by what he found, but he has no credibility. So that's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah. I get you.
That's what happens.
Yeah. So with all of that, the contamination of blood evidence, supposedly, all of the race cards, police corruption, anything and everything that they could to plant reasonable doubts in the minds of the jury worked.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
That's how you get an acquittal. So he was acquitted on both counts of murder. Then in 1996, the parents of Ron Goldman filed a wrongful death civil suit, and the Brown family filed a survivor suit, and they won. Because the burden of proof in a civil suit is much lower than another case.
I did hear about that.
Yeah. So Nicole's children were awarded $12.6 million from their father. And then the Goldman families and the Brown families were awarded $33.5 million in compensatory and punitive damage. So, and then like you have everybody wrote a book. Mm-hmm. The only person that did not write a book was Judge Ito, but I'm sure that's probably coming any day now that he's retired.
Oh.
But yeah, so the only person that didn't write a book in this case was
the judge.
Yeah. Marsha Clark wrote a book. Chris Darden wrote a book. All of the defense attorneys wrote books. Even OJ wrote a book, which I listened to.
That's the book I want to read.
So all OJ's book is him basically.
If I did it.
Yeah, it's if I did it. And he gets none of the money from that book because he's not able to profit off of the murder. So
he should not.
The Goldman family published it. And there's a foreword in it that talks about why they did it. Because I think the Brown family didn't want them to, but they talk about why they published it. I think all of the funds go into a victim rights foundation that they have.
Okay.
Any money that was made off of it or whatever.
That's very nice.
Yeah. But so basically all OJ's book is him like, man, what a fucking narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
It's all turning everything around, all of the domestic violence, because Facebook says a lot about how their relationship was like
really
before
toxic
all of this happened. Yeah.
It was messed up.
The fighting and everything else. And so I feel like OJ's book is disputing a lot of what Faye's book was. So Faye's telling one side, Nicole's side of the story, supposedly.
Yeah.
And then OJ refutes it to turn everything back on Nicole. Everything was Nicole's fault.
Okay. Let's say for a second, some of it was Nicole's fault. Do we kill her? Do we do that?
Well, so then the very last chapter, I guess, well, the last one worth listening to was, if I did it, this is how it happened. And he explains
that's one
exactly
thing,
what happened.
That is one thing I would never put on paper if I did something.
Well, okay, so he gets like right up to the point of him like butchering them and says, and then it's like I blacked out. I just blacked out and and all this other stuff. And he goes, and then I just remember looking there and saying, what happened? What happened here?
So
who did this? Who did this?
You did it.
So basically, yeah, he was said that it was like a blind rage type dealio. But even still, like,
you're basically
anything like this is hypothetical. Well, he can't be retried for it, so it's not going to matter anyway.
Exactly. So you might as well
he could walk up and down and say I did it all day long.
You might as well just say he did though, because in the book you say I blacked out.
Yeah.
No, but you did not.
Nicole, you need to listen to Kim Goldman's podcast called Confronting OJ, because it was done in it's 2006. I don't know, the 25th, like 25 years later, and it's like 6 episodes or so, and she talks to like some of Ron's old friends who are now in their 50s and like where they think Ron would be today. And then she talks to some of the jurors that convicted him.
Oh, okay.
That freed him.
Good, she should.
Yeah, she talks to she talks to Marsha Clark. She talks to a bunch of people, and she tried to get OJ. And there's a phone call like from his attorney that between her producer and the attorney, his attorney, that is just like, what a piece of shit. But yeah, that's a really good podcast. Confronting OJ was really good.
Ugh.
But it was like, yeah, so let me just say, rabbit holes. I watched the OJ thing. I read all these books, listened to OJ's book.
I'm trying to find podcast that I heard about it.
There's another show on HBO Max called How It Really Happened.
Ooh.
And it goes through a bunch of different like things. But there was a 2-episode thing on the OJ Simpson murders, on these murders. And they gave alternate theories too as to what they think might have happened that was completely debunked.
I want to watch that.
It was good.
I want to watch that.
It was good. But yeah, I don't know.
So I listened to the First Degree podcast, and they have a 2-part episode thing. Kim Goldman on confronting O.J. Simpson and the aftermath. Mm-hmm. That's where I got the really good story that like I was like just glued to my phone listening to it. So they had her on there and they interviewed her, I think.
Yeah, so you definitely need to listen to hers.
Yeah, I do.
Just so good.
Oh my God. That's like when I first heard that story for real, because like I never paid attention to it because I was 4. And then
and now you've seen the crime scene photos, so you know like how brutal.
Those were horrific. Like, he really did butcher them.
She was almost decapitated.
Like, oh my God. The bone thing sticking out of their neck. Like, I almost threw up. I was like, okay, that's enough.
That's bad.
Yeah. But that's like one of my most favorite stories ever.
It's crazy.
I cannot believe.
He's on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter now. I
can't believe. I'm glad the civil suit, he was found guilty. I cannot believe it.
Yeah. He went to jail because of the whole trying to steal back his memorabilia stuff. So he went to jail for a while, but he's out now.
Which is stupid.
Yeah. Living in Florida, golfing every day.
I wish he was still in jail.
Living off the reason why he moved to Florida is because then they can't touch his pension that he gets from the NFL and stuff like that. So he still has money that he's living off of. They can't collect on that. Some weird laws in Florida that he has.
I hate Florida.
Which is why he moved there.
I love Florida, actually. I'm just kidding. I love it, but
I've never been there.
Excuse me?
I've never been to Florida ever.
Oh my God, this is the bad thing about podcasting, because I make all my expressions say everything, and you can't see them.
No, I've never been there.
Excuse me?
I know.
You're missing out. It's America's Wayne.
I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Arizona, where we would go to California. We wouldn't go to Florida.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I've never been to California.
Oh, excuse me?
And I have family that lives there.
You do?
Yeah. My uncle lives in San Diego.
Oh, I love San Diego.
My cousin lives like in LA.
So why don't we go to California?
I don't know. My cousin works for Disney. I'm
really?
probably not allowed to say that, but she's like a flippant.
Why? You didn't say her name.
That's true. Okay.
There's like millions of people that work for Disney.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she's like an amazing artist, and she does like.
Oh, she works for like the movie Disney, or like
she did like
animation.
I don't know if she does like animation. She does like sculptures, and like I know she did a lot of painting and stuff for like backgrounds for.
Oh, nice.
Like I think she did Star Wars. She did like some of the background for Mandalorian or something. I could have all of this wrong. I'm so sorry.
It's allegedly.
I know Star Wars. She did
that's
stuff
what we
on
have
Star
to start
Wars.
saying. We have to start saying. I don't have to say it because
Allegedly.
everybody knew he was.
Yeah.
I should have said allegedly, but whatever.
Allegedly.
Charges were brought. But your Golden Globes guy, you have to say allegedly.
Oh, allegedly.
He allegedly molested Brendan Fraser.
Allegedly tickled his taint.
Exactly.
Okay. We'll go back and we'll edit that.
All right. So we'll get Josh in here for Curmudgeon Corner.
I am excited to hear what he has to say today, because it can't be about my parking spot.
No, because you parked the right way.
Oh my God.
Good job. All right, we'll take a little break. You ready for Curmudgeon Corner?
Check one, check one.
Shut up. All right.
It's good to be back.
Jeez. Okay. If you say so.
Shout out to the 4 listeners out there.
4? You're giving us a lot of credit.
Yeah. It could be 2.
Well,
Probably just
Joe
my mom.
and Juliet,
Really?
your mom.
Oh. Do I have to hold it that way?
Well, it's better.
Oh. I wanted to hold it in my crotch, but it didn't.
I wouldn't let her.
She wasn't hearing
It was too
me.
loose. Sorry, that was
You know
that was
what?
uncalled for.
Not
too
but,
loose in my crotch,
not that
though.
you would know, but I've not had any complaints.
So there.
okay.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Welcome back, Joshua.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Good to be here.
All right. I do have 2 topics today.
Okay, well, you can't complain about Angeline's parking, so we know that.
No. Great job, by the way, parking today, Angeline. Good
I
job.
thought of you the whole time.
It was a good job. So I was in the yard because I've been off this whole week. It's the first time I've had a whole week off in, I don't know, what do you think, back 5 years?
I guess.
And I was walking in the part of the yard.
Well, technically, you weren't off the whole week because you kept going into work, but
True. That's
go
right.
ahead.
I don't think anybody that works at my place is one of the 4 listeners, so I'm not going to say anything derogatory about my job.
Okay.
So I was walking in the part of the yard, the front yard, that our dog has no access to, ever.
Okay.
And I noticed on the north side of the yard, this way, I counted them. There were 9 piles of dog shit. And let's be clear on the count here. I'm being nice because there were some spread out ones where some dog is obviously walking while it's crapping. I count that as 1. So 9 is like a low number.
Okay.
And here's the deal. It's right just on our side of the property, good 3-4 feet in, which means I'm not talking 2 piles. I'm talking just a load of dog. And by the way, this is a very small yard. This is not a large yard.
But how big are the poops?
They are much smaller than Jackson, who is the other side of us. That's a big lab, and they're not his. There's nothing wrong. If your dog doesn't want to wear a leash and it wants to come into our yard, we got no problem. We're very nice to neighbors' dogs. We're good dog people. But if your dog continually, not once in a while, but every day takes a shit in my yard, that's okay. Once a week, not every day, get out there and scoop.
I like it.
That's all I'm asking.
I would appreciate that.
Or show some effort. How do I approach this? I could be just, magnanimous and just not say a word, just scoop it.
What would Jesus do?
And that's what Jesus would do. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to ponder it for the rest of this week in the spring while the shit piles up and see if something happens.
Why don't you just not pick it up and see if they pick it up?
I'm going to wait till the first mow.
Yeah.
Put it in a bag. Put it on their porch. And
Set it on fire.
Light that shit on fire.
And say, burn, motherfucker, burn,
Yes.
while I pound on their door.
Yes. And then he'll come out and he'll try and step on it and he'll say, there's poop on our porch again. Which is when you'll say, he called the shit poop.
Oh. And just so you're clear, just to be clear, audience, Angeline is sober.
Yes. Yes, I am.
So the whole thing here is, we live on a country road, dirt, and my dog takes shits, but I try to make sure he takes a crap in
The woods part.
the woods, or there's always along the dirt road, a lot of times there's 10 or 15 yards of trees and then the yard, and in between that's you can't mow it, you can't do anything, it's just that wild part. The dog can take a shit there. Because, and if he does take a shit in somebody's yard, I don't pick it up because I don't carry bags because we live in the country, but I find a stick and I stick it out in the middle of the dirt road. I figured enough
I
cars
do that
run over
too.
it.
That's a good idea.
Well, remember that time we were walking Jackson and Jackson just crouched in the middle of the road and
Yeah.
just laid one out?
Jackson doesn't even care. He's like, listen, I'm just going to let it go. I'm tired.
I don't want to wait for the woods. I'm just going to lay it right out here.
So I just think that's, what do you say?
Wait, are you guys good friends? You all on good terms?
We're on good. I think we're friendly with
we're on
all of
good
our
terms.
neighbors.
I think
Okay.
I'm definitely on good terms with all the neighbors.
Okay.
What are you saying? Are you saying I'm not?
I just would.
I would say if anybody tends to hold a grudge or gets angry, it's or show anger. it's bad.
I don't hold grudges at all.
Throw it all on her
Good.
side.
Oh
Throw it all on their
my
lawn.
Who do I hold a grudge against? No,
Yeah,
I don't have a grudge.
just a festering anger.
Well,
Yeah,
kind of dumb.
There's reason for And it's not even an anger. It's just a kind of like a general disbelief of, wow.
So there's the shitting thing. Now, the other one is breaking and learning how to pull out in front of somebody. So there's times when you pull out in front of somebody because you couldn't see them coming quick enough, or a tough corner, like when you leave Connell coming over that hill, and you just don't know.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do at that point is you just got to get on it.
Yeah.
Do the best you can. Give them a wave or not, but I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
There's another thing about pulling out in front of somebody when you can see both ways for a long ass way, but maybe you've been waiting for like an hour and it's either pull out in front of somebody or you ain't getting out. I can see that. Here's what I can't see. Pulling out in front of somebody simply to make a right-hand turn in like 8 yards.
Oh.
Like you could have just kept your fat ass in your car and walked. Like,
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That happened to me twice the other day on Oakwood.
Really?
Twice. And I'm like, are you, what?
Huh?
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I
just had to pass a lot of people in Oakwood lately because they feel like it's 40 miles an hour the whole way.
I feel like I drive 40 miles an hour in Oakwood a lot of times.
Why?
I just daydream.
So yeah, that happens to me a lot. I get home and I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah. I don't remember
Well, I get that, but
1 mile that I drove. No idea.
No idea.
Do people pass you?
No.
I don't think you have ever driven 40 miles an hour, to be clear.
I'll be honest, I'm not even sure how fast I'm going. It could be 140, except
Yeah.
my old beater truck with 200,000 miles doesn't probably go that fast.
I've been passing a lot of people in Oakwood lately. It's weird.
So on the braking thing, this is something that I really wish that my wife, and I'm not going to say names because we don't name people in the show,
but me specifically?
my wife.
I
I'm
never
not gonna
pull
say her
out
name.
from somebody. And
No, this is not about pulling out. So
Is it not about pulling out, Josh?
it wouldn't matter because Angeline wouldn't feel it whether you pulled out or not.
Burn.
Once again, I have had no complaints.
Except the microphone.
No complaints.
All right.
No complaint.
So here's the.
To
here's
be
the
clear, my vagina's good.
Hey,
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah.
Tight like a toiga. I don't remember what that's
Wow.
from.
Wow. That's all I can say. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. So you don't need to slam on your brakes in a car. And if you think ahead, if you learn how to drive, the brakes in your car, regardless of what type of car, heavy truck, small car, SUV, whatever, they should last 80 to 90,000 miles. Every brake pad, I'm not talking about rotor brakes here, should last 80 to 90,000 miles. And if they don't, you either A, live in New York City, where I guess I get it, it's constant braking, or B, you don't know how to let your car slow itself down using the transmission. And I feel like a lot of people have lost this art.
Oh, yeah.
So I have
For
developed a simple model from here to Beaky's, where when I leave here, the only
Beaky's is the
time
grocery store, to be clear.
I have to touch the brakes is at the stop sign on Connell. I can get all the way there by accelerating and doing 5 miles over the speed limit, going around that huge S curve, going up and down the big hill, all the way to Beaky's, and never touching the brakes.
Well, Lottie fucking da for you.
Yeah.
Just saying, that's why my truck has almost 200,000 miles, still runs like a top.
And that's why people honk and pass me, because I'm going 4 miles an hour before I hit the fucking curve.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny.
I just think it's a really,
That's
lost art.
You know what? That's a skill.
Why don't you retire and become a driving
Fantastic.
instructor, and you could teach everybody.
Think
Could you
about it.
imagine Josh as like a driver's ed teacher?
No,
Oh my God, he'd be so mad. You'd be so mad all the time.
that's not how you
I
park.
just want you to know
That's what
that
you
I
can't
have
park
taught
your
classes.
Supposed to park there.
Yeah,
I taught classes.
Why
once.
are you
I think I
touching the
did an
brake?
Okay job.
don't touch the brake.
I taught little kids
use
to
the
fish.
transmission.
I think the little kids learned how to fish that I taught to fish. In fact, these little kids referred to me as Mr. Awesome.
Oh, jeez.
Mr. Awesome.
And I did not encourage. It's not my idea. It's true.
What do they refer to you as now?
Probably that old man that won't give me any more free lures.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. I like that
And
name.
these kids caught pike. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Much like Angeline's vagina. Okay.
I mean, it's fishy, but geez.
Oh, wow.
You guys left it wide open.
We
No one was going
did.
for it. I'll
We
take
did.
it myself.
We did.
No one was going for it.
So
They're
another
all
thing
up.
just going on, so everybody knows, Michigan State streak still alive in the NCAA tournament. Woo woo!
Streak. They won one game.
Well, no, the streak is getting to the NCAA tournament.
Oh.
The number of years in a row that
I don't know
they
anything
got
about
into the
it.
tournament.
Barely they got in the tournament.
Barely is in.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know about
that's pretty
basketball.
good. So are you going to watch the Wolverines play?
No.
I thought you were a U of M Flint person,
Yeah.
just not into U of M Ann Arbor basketball.
Yeah, it's good luck, I guess.
Okay.
I don't
Go
know.
blue.
Yeah, go blue.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Pretty lame. So I don't have a lot today, so I feel kind of bad about that.
No, that's okay
What
because
the audience
we had
know.
a lot on OJ.
Yeah.
Where were you when the Bronco chase happened?
I was at Michigan State. I don't know if I was a sophomore or a junior.
It was 95 or no, 96, I think, when the
So I would have been a senior.
95. Like,
Senior or junior in college. And I remember I was going from one class to another, but I was inside one of the lecture halls. Not in a lecture class, just on the
for the
hallways.
Bronco chase or for the verdict?
For the verdict. And I mean, we all knew it was going on. I wasn't glued to the TV, but I remember just walking down the hall, trying to get to the and this isn't like high school, like where the halls are crowded,
Yeah.
totally different. And I walked down, and all of a sudden you just heard like and these lecture halls all hold, somewhere between 50 people and 500 people. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you just heard like all the lecture halls all erupt at once. Mm-hmm. And this is before iPhones and shit. So I don't know how everybody found out at the same time.
Well,
but-
because they announced they weren't the jury only deliberated for 3 hours. And so they announced people had left. Like some attorneys, like they thought it was going to take days. So they have to wait for everybody to come back. So they announced that the jury had a verdict. So they said they were going to do the verdict at a specific time because everything was televised.
Oh.
So that's when, because I was at school too, and they set up stuff in the classroom and
Here's
stuff like
something
that for
I
people
did
to read
think
the
of because I was watching this with my wife, who I cannot name.
you can name me, you dummy.
So we were rewatching the O.J. Simpson show
Yeah,
or whatever the other day. And I remember something when I think I was in Wells Hall, and I remember something when everybody kind of came out and was cheering. And I don't mean this to be racial, it just helps explain it. I would say 80% of the people that were out in the hallways cheering were white. White my age, and they're 21 to 18 years old. And if I had to say what the population of students was at Michigan State, this is obviously not official, and I probably would be, in trouble if I, who knows who's going to protest. I'd say the population at Michigan State for white, black was probably closer to 70-30. But in the hallways cheering and, clapping and all happy, it was good 80-20 white. And I was surprised by that at the time. I remember being struck by, and I had no feelings on the case, whether he was guilty or not. I really didn't I'm not emotionally attached to it now, and I wasn't then.
What do you think, though? Based on what you saw?
I didn't.
I made him listen to that OJ chapter when OJ described
think-
how he kind of did it. Hypothetically did it.
Based on what I saw on the show or the documentary, and then what you read to me, which was his book of If I Did It, This Is How It Would Have Been, I think he did it. But, I don't know whether they made the show seem like he did it. But I
The
do
show was
think-
based off of this book, which is written by a journalist, which is based off of court records and evidence.
Yeah, it looks like he did
Entered.
it. But I'd say that the reasonable doubt.
You could
that's the
see how that
standard.
happens.
And had I been on a jury, and I wasn't, and had I seen everything they saw, which I don't know what everything they saw,
Yeah.
I can see how it's possible to come with reasonable doubt. Now, I don't know what evidence they saw, but
They saw
you
all
can
the
see
evidence, but
how
for
the
every
reasonable
evidence that they
doubt-
had, it was disputed.
I mean, God, the LAPD, the stuff that came out that's facts about them was horrible. I mean, like if you haven't seen that show and then seen the tapes that came out of the LAPD detective and the things that he said, they are worse than you possibly think they could be.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
bad. It's like conspiracy against black people, bad. Or sorry, not just black people, Mexicans were.
Everybody, he was pretty much against everybody.
By the way, I don't know if it's okay to say Mexicans in that tone, but
I don't know what the correct nomenclature is.
Hispanic.
I don't know. Someone said you weren't allowed to say Asian
Spanish
anymore either, but I don't
American.
know what else you would say.
Pacific Islander.
Is it?
I don't know.
I think it's Asia Pacific.
Oh,
Is it?
I don't know.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
just make that up?
No. I've heard
Okay.
it.
I don't know. Do you want to know what I was doing? Probably.
She was not born.
I
She
was
was-
5. I was probably playing in a sandbox somewhere.
Yeah.
Shitting her pants.
Shitting my pants.
Yes.
Probably.
Good job.
Thanks.
Were you begging Rob to play with you or demanding that he play with you?
Did I tell you about this?
The story. I've heard parts of it.
Never would play
Rob
with
told it
me.
how he screamed at you and said at some summer camp that you told him he had to play with you and that he screamed at you no.
He did. I was thinking, this is my chance. He won't play with me at home. He's getting paid. He has to play with me here. And he says, I don't get paid to play with you. I have to play with the other kids. And I was like, gosh, you don't play with me ever. When do I get played with? And that,
By the way,
that sounded weird.
Rob and Angeline are brother and sister.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's weird. That sounded weird.
So why doesn't Rob like you?
He likes me now. I think I was a really annoying little sister.
I gotta be honest.
I don't know if he does.
I don't know either.
We've had Rob and April over for dinner, and
It's questionable. Could be.
I think April seems to be okay with you, but your brother, oof, that's a
I
toughie.
could see that.
And he seems like a really nice guy, by the way. Rob. Oh, sorry, name. Damn it.
You
Well, you can name him. You're not
can
saying
name
anything
him.
bad.
He seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He is a stand-up guy.
Yeah, stand-up guy. He has like 17,000 children.
Yes. Yes, he does.
They have 5 kids.
You
Are they going for 6?
Do you know my other brother has 6 kids?
Oh, dear God.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
And what's funny is like they're not like angry about it. They're not like screaming at their kids like a vacation where Molly, you take that diaper off your head and you put it back on your sister. No,
That's raising
none
your
of that's
photo,
going
not
on.
vacation.
Like it's not like that. Now it's a little bit like Family Circus, but Rob just sort of like, yeah. I think our kid just ate a dog turd.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Oh, I cut out there. Hang on.
No, you're fine, honey.
Easy.
You think you cut out, but you don't.
Check.
Oh my God.
Check one.
Really?
I like how
She's
annoyed
probably
she
going
gets.
to edit out all
I
the
do.
checks,
I get
audience.
so
I
annoyed.
love
But
it.
there's got to be at least 100 so far for me. Check.
Well, I can cut
Check.
out most of them.
Check.
I don't hear you, Angie. Keep coming again. One more.
I'm about to pull the plug on both of you.
Chickadee check.
Check.
Murder.
Shibuya roll call.
This is how OJ did it. Starting to understand.
So was your show on OJ any good?
I don't know. We'll see.
I'll tell you what. That was some graphic ass shit.
You didn't even see the pictures.
I don't want to see that.
They were terrible. Terrifying. They gave me nightmares.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't understand Cuba Gooding playing OJ.
I thought he did good.
That's like me. No, he's not. Doesn't. No, his acting is great. I mean,
Yeah,
but
he is good at
come
it.
on. OJ was a big dude.
That's true.
Cuba Gooding is a smaller dude that fattened up. That's not a big dude. OJ Simpson was, a
Who would you
Hall
get
of
to play him?
Fame running back.
Who would you get to play him?
Bo Jackson.
Is Bo Jackson
No, I don't
an
think
actor?
he would. No, he's not an actor. I mean, he's done a lot of commercials.
Who would you get to play OJ if not?
Good question for the audience. Let's go to the 4 people in the audience.
Email us. Oh, we do have an email, by the way.
Yes.
Now.
Email us who you
It's a good
think
question,
would play
though. That would
OJ
be a
better
good
than
one,
Cuba.
ICBYM at gmail. ICBYM pod.
We'll get
Don't
back
ask.
to audience.
figure it
We'll
out.
get back to you on that one.
Or
But
hit
that would
us
be a
up on
good
the
one.
gram, which we don't have yet, but we will.
Yeah, Angeline's in
gram.
charge of social media, so who knows when that's going to happen.
Yeah,
So this will never be posted.
baby.
Ever.
No, we'll never just be.
Perhaps.
We'll post it eventually. We have to get our artwork up.
Yeah.
I cannot believe you guys are getting artwork.
Why? How else are
should be
people going to know it's us?
There should just be pictures of Jasper and Wilbur.
What?
And your cat. For sure.
Oh,
Her
Penny.
name's Penny. It's short for
We'll put
penetration.
Penny. We'll put. Oh my God.
Oh God! Is it really?
Yes. That's how I named her.
Named your cat Penetration.
Yes.
Is
It's her drag name.
Let's fast forward here.
Penetration.
Angeline is on a date. Date number 3. And lucky young gentleman, or is it a lady? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not judging.
No.
Comes home to Angeline's condo. First time.
Sure.
And Penny runs up. And the dude or lady, whoever you've brought home is, and it's gone good. You're on date 3, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You're having your
Date 3 is sexy time.
Yeah.
Business time, if you will.
and you know, there's glasses of wine, you know, handed out, right? Everybody's happy. Penny's coming up and, you know, doing the pets. And Joe Blow is petting, and he says, "Oh, Penny, what a pretty name."
Or Joe Blow.
Or Joe Blow. And you tell Joe Blow that you named your
Jill
cat
Blow.
Penetration. At that point, this person knows he's getting laid or get the fuck out.
Probably get the fuck out.
Because this lady just told me her cat's name was Penetration.
Yeah, probably he should go home. He's probably like, this girl's
I just
kinda
think
weird.
What would you think if you were on a date with somebody and they said their cat's name was Penetration?
By the way, I would not be on a date because I'm married. But were I not married and
if
I
you're
was
a
on a
single
date,
weirdo.
I'd be thinking, how do I sleep with this girl and get the fuck out of this crazy house?
So you would hit it and quit it.
Yes.
Okay.
Based purely on the cat's name.
See, how many times have I met you, though, and I've never told you that that's her name.
Okay, so here's a tip.
But her name is Penny. They call her
Yeah,
Penny.
don't ever tell somebody the truth until after you're married.
Exactly.
And then wait 2 years.
Exactly.
But your other cat's name was what?
Duke Silver.
Duke. So Duke's fine.
Yeah. But I didn't name him. And if I had, that wouldn't have been his name, but that's okay.
It wouldn't have been something like plug as in butt plug or anything, right?
That would be a cool name.
It would be a cool name for Doug. Butt plug, get over here. Damn it, butt plug.
I don't know. I don't know what we would have named him.
Honey, grab butt plug.
Grab butt plug and get in the car.
Hurry up.
Anal
Yeah.
beads.
No, I don't know. I don't even remember, but that was my ex or whatever he is to me. I don't know.
Is he still an ex? I've heard rumors that it's
Yeah.
charcoal is still smoking.
But if we had a Facebook.
Oh, I got it. You could call him Frumba.
What's that?
From behind.
I like that. I like that.
Are we ever going to have a show where I get to question Angeline about her
From
relationships? I feel like I do
Ooh.
really well at this.
You could.
We can do that next week.
I think, you know,
Oh God, you're gonna put me on the spot.
oh yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sometimes the charcoal's burning.
Audience.
I don't
We're
know.
going to get into it.
Get to know your podcasters.
Oh boy.
Get to know the lady that named her cat Penetration.
Penetration.
Yes.
Everybody's going to be tuning in. Audience doubles from 4 to 8.
My aunt came to visit and she was like, "Why did you name your cat Penny?" Because I thought she was gonna be like an orange cat, like you named her like because she looked like a penny, and I was like, "No."
Did you tell her the truth?
I did, and she loved it.
Oh, of course.
Because my family's we're cool like that. We're more open
I
than you
don't
are,
think
Josh.
Rob strikes me as coming from the same family as you.
I don't know if he knows about my cat.
But
She's
Rob,
a queen.
I don't think Rob's like that. I mean, other than the fact that he has 7,000 kids.
Yeah.
Went from 17,000 to 6 to 7,000.
Yeah, I don't know about. Rob's not as cool as me.
I don't think Rob is a cool guy. I think Rob's a cool guy to hang out with. He's not like a hip guy, but I think that's a compliment.
I don't know.
I don't
I think
know.
Rob's an
kinda
oak
hip.
tree. You know, he's solid.
Oh, he is. He's pretty hip though. I don't know.
I think he's
So on a scale of 10,
'Cause he's a
what
dad.
would
He's
you
a hip
give
dad.
Rob on the hip scale?
Oh, I don't know.
All
That's
right.
his sister, though. You can't really.
What am I on a 0 to 10 on the hip scale?
You're Mr. Awesome.
2.
My wife said 2. What do you think, Angeline? By the way, I will not be offended because I don't think I am hip.
Okay, what are the
Angeline?
criteria for hip? Because I
Angeline.
think he's hilarious.
Angeline, he got dressed the other day, put on a flannel, tucked it into his pants.
All right, so hang on. First off, there's a reason to tuck my flannel in. My belt is too big, and my pants keep sliding down, and I'm going hiking. I'm not going to the store here, people.
Even if you were going to the store, you're the mad tucker.
I do
You
like
tuck
to tuck
everything
stuff
in.
You know what, though? A lot of dudes all walk around with shit untucked, and you know why they do that? Because they're fat. They're fat. There's a lot of fat dudes.
But just because you're not fat doesn't mean you should tuck everything in.
It's more comfortable.
How?
It's totally more comfortable.
I don't feel like it is.
Oh, yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
feel like it is either.
I don't feel like
No, seriously, a
don't
soft
think-
cotton T-shirt or your rough jeans rubbing against your waistline. No doubt. Tucked in is the way to go.
I get that. I get a t-shirt, but I don't get like a button-down shirt. I get like if you're dressed nice, I get
Yes.
that. I don't get a freaking flannel.
When you go to work and you're in Dockers or whatever type of pants you wear and you wear a golf shirt, you tuck it in. You know why?
I get
Because
that.
it looks nicer.
It
So
does.
that's what you do when you go to the grocery store. You tuck it
Not
in.
with a t-shirt or flannel. You're losing hit points.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those dudes that.
I'm afraid it's happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
You know
There's
what?
nothing wrong with tucking in. I
You're
don't tuck a
hip.
sweater in or a sweatshirt.
You're
I
hip
think you
in a
would if you
lot of other
could.
My
ways.
father does.
You're hip in a lot of other
My
ways.
father tucks a sweatshirt in, and he didn't just start. He always has.
Okay, so you can't do that.
No, I won't do that. I'm not going to get
You're
there.
like that commercial where you're turning into your parents.
I don't think so. Maybe so. My sisters say that too sometimes.
That's funny.
It's not good.
Him and his dad have the same mannerisms. It's weird.
Well, it's because he's my dad.
I know.
I don't have the same mannerisms as my mom. I have the same attitude sometimes. The
Yes.
instant no. Hey, how'd you like to go to Disneyland and have it? No.
Oh.
Hey, honey, I was going to make prime. No.
Josh comes from a place of no, not a place of yes.
No.
That's okay. You can always say no first. Think it over. Maybe
That's
it'll
what
change
happens.
to a yes. You know?
That's what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
I do ponder things.
I'm like that
I
too.
hike a lot in the woods and I ponder all types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've run you guys over.
That's all right. We're gonna edit all.
Also, none of this will see the light of day.
Some of it will.
Now, this is some
Just so,
good
because I know it
content.
won't, Angeline,
golden.
go fuck yourself.
Yes. All right.
Maybe I will. I might like it. Just saying.
Bye.
See you later, penetration.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to the I Could Be Your Mother podcast. We do have an email set up at icbympodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us on all social media platforms at ICBYM Podcast. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening.